don't make sense what the suffering was for. Cause I got out my head and I got in my bag. No time to be crying, there's money to make. I'll do what I gotta, whatever it takes. Cause I'm pushing myself to be one of the great. And my time is right now.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, first and foremost, if you've been here for a while, you know what I'm going to say. I appreciate you. Keep showing up. Keep giving me support. Keep supporting me. It means, honestly, the fucking world. I don't even know words to describe to how much it means to me. And if you're new here, welcome. I really appreciate you showing up. Really appreciate you tuning in. And whether you're new here or you've been here for a minute, I hope you have a pen, pencil, and just are ready to take notes, because today's episode is going to be entirely about scarcity mindset versus an abundant mindset. Now, the reason why we're going to talk about the difference of this is because it's very, very important to understand the very simple differences between scarce mindset and an abundant mindset, because these subtle shifts we're going to talk about after we talk about what a scarce mindset is and what an abundant mindset is. Once you understand these small, subtle shifts in terms of your perspective, in terms of your mindset, and in terms of how you're operating as a person, whether it's through scarce relationships, scarce self-confidence, scarce anything, or whether it's abundance, just these subtle shifts do truly make a huge difference in your life. And the reason why I'm sharing all this is because I come from a very scarce background, and you can use scarce could be a bunch of different words. It could be low frequency, low energy, low vibration, like negativity. Regardless of what it is, scarcity is literally like, are you always looking at the glass half full, or are you looking at the glass half empty? Scarcity is looking at it half empty. Are you focusing on the wins, the opportunities, and the growth, or are you focusing on the losses, the areas you're quote unquote lacking in, or how much further you need to go? The negative aspect of it, the low frequency, is always scarcity, right? It's always thinking that we're not enough, or just it's low hanging fruit, or it's always a negative aspect of whatever avenue or perspective you're looking at is that. So we're going to talk about the definitions of them. We're going to talk about the definition of scarcity mindset. We're going to talk about the definition of an abundant mindset. We're going to talk about subtle shifts on perspectives of literally the tiny, tiny, tiny little details of, verbiage versus how you say certain things. Is it a scarce mindset or is it an abundant mindset? We're going to give about 5 to 10 to 15 different examples so you know exactly what we're talking about in terms of actual conversations and places in your life that you're living right now. And then I'm going to give you 3 of my favorite takeaways on how to take your scarce mindset and change it into an abundant mindset and keep it there forever. Because once you learn how to operate from an abundant standpoint, your life is going to be a hell of a lot more fucking better in every area, to be honest, because it's literally as simple as, are you looking at the glass half full, or are you looking at the glass half empty? Are you focusing on your wins, the opportunities, and the growth, or are you focusing on the losses in the areas you're lacking and how much further you need to go? Are you celebrating successes, or are you dwelling on the past? Are you getting better every single day and moving the needle forward and feeling great and know that your success is inevitable? Or are you stuck in a low frequency state where you're like depressive symptoms, anxiety, scarcity mindset, scared of what's to come, not feeling like you're going to see much success? Which way are you operating? And then that's why we're going to jump into today's episode to break it all down. So by definition, a scarcity mindset is literally a psychological perspective which an individual believes that their resources, their opportunities, and options are limited and or insufficient to meet their needs and desires. Now, the reason why I want to break it down from a definition standpoint is because I'm a learner from factual information. When you deal with anxiety, you deal with depression, it's very easy to change the perspective of your reality to make it not as true as it really is. And I find with a scarce mindset, it is very easy to get caught into thinking this way, thinking that, your options are limited, thinking there's insufficient needs and insufficient needs and resources around you. Like, this is just a horrible mindset to get stuck into. And people don't realize that they're stuck in these mindsets, right? Because if you have a scarcity mindset, you're going to tend to view the world through the lens of like shortage, through fearing that people won't be enough for you and you won't be enough for anyone else around you. No one's enough for you, and the scarce mindset really impacts tons of areas of your life. You know what I mean? From like your decision making to your relationships to then just to your day-to-day experiences on how you perceive the world. You're perceiving more anxiety, you're perceiving more insecurity, you're perceiving more depression, you're perceiving more fear, all because of how you're operating and looking through the world, thinking that there's opportunities that are going to be insufficient for your needs, thinking of these avenues of your life that aren't going to be just quote unquote enough. The glass is always half empty. So you're just kind of like running on empty all the time. And you got to understand that this mindset can have such an significant impact on your personal and professional development that when you have this mindset, all you're doing is self-imposed limitations and creating missed opportunities. You're creating all of these boundaries around your life to keep you in this state of fear, uncertainty, anxiety, and depression just because of how you're viewing the world, because of how you believe the world is around you. That's why it's a psychological perspective. And I like it to break it down from the perspective of like factual, definitive answers so you can remove the emotions around it, right? Because a scarce mindset, like I said, is a psychological perspective when you believe that resources, opportunities, and options are limited and insufficient for your goals, meaning you don't think there's enough out there in the world to bring back the success that you want. And you got to understand, if you truly believe this and you truly operate from this standpoint, how well do you think your personal and professional development is going to be? How well do you think you're going to crush your goals if you don't believe there's enough information or resources for you to crush them? How do you think your life is gonna mold over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years if you have all these self-imposed limitations and you're looking at everything as a missed opportunity and insufficient for your needs? And that's why I like to break down the definition, because getting into an abundant mindset, by definition, is a psychological perspective in which an individual believes that there are ample resources, there's enough to go around, there's tons of opportunities coming our way. The possibilities available to us and the people that have abundant mindsets, it's limitless. There's not a cap on it because there's abundance. It's always available to us. And when you tend to have an abundant mindset, you're going to tend to view the world full of potential. You're going to believe that there is a surplus of opportunities and resources and options for you to grow in the areas that you want to. You know what I mean? You're going to go and create and attract these opportunities to succeed and thrive versus wake up with anxiety and depression and think about there's not enough out there for you to succeed. And then this is where we start to get into the differences a little bit. But if you have an abundant mindset, you're more likely to experience like feelings of empowerment. You know what I mean? Feelings of positivity, a lot more than just contentment and being like, okay, like, like, are we going to be successful? Are we going to, like, is there enough to go around? When you have an abundant mindset, you believe to the core there's enough to go around for yourself and everybody. You're more likely in this position when you have this perspective to take risks, seek out new opportunities without hesitation, approach new challenges with solutions-oriented mindsets, versus thinking about the glass half empty and thinking that it's doomsday all the day. You're looking at your setbacks as temporary opportunities versus looking at them as indefinite reasons why you can't succeed. You're looking at them as gaps to opportunities to overcome your adversities to grow in different areas of your life. And like I said, if you believe it, then you're not even going to hesitate to move forward with this mindset because you know there's enough to go around for yourself and everyone else around you. Now, in order to cultivate an abundant mindset, you've got to understand that it involves recognizing and challenging any of your limiting beliefs that you currently have right now in terms of scarcity. You have to become consciously aware to shift your perspective to focus on abundance, possibilities, and gratitude for things to come and what you already have, versus always waking up and on the back foot thinking that things are going to be taken from you, thinking that there's insufficient resources to go around, thinking that the glass is just half empty. You just got to literally recognize and challenge your limiting beliefs to consciously change this, or none of it's going to work. And the reason why I say that is because I really want to just dive into a bunch of subtle different shifts for your perspective of where you can look at your day-to-day life and consciously start making these decisions to change your perspective, to go from scarce to abundance, to go from fuck, I can't get this done to let's fucking get more done to, man, I don't know if there's enough people out there for me to start my business, or there's way more people out there to start my business, or I don't know if I can do this to, I'm going to fucking crush this. And the reason why I'm saying you have to recognize and challenge your limiting beliefs, because no one's going to change your perspective for you. That's the biggest thing. Like if you get stuck in the spinning of your tires of a scarcity mindset and you don't allow yourself to recognize it, you don't allow yourself to challenge your limiting beliefs, nobody in this fucking world is going to come in and take that for you and say, hey, this is what you need to do. If you're lucky, you'll maybe have some moments in your life where some people that are close to you will be sick of your fucking shit and say, I'm done. And then just be like, hey, this is what your problem is. And if you don't want to fucking listen to me, then go about your day. Go about your day. Because that will happen. If you're blessed to have somebody close in your life to kind of just, drill into you that way, just kind of lean into you and be like, listen, bro, this is what your situation is. You're looking at things from a scarce mindset. You're not looking at things from an abundant mindset. And I just can't do this anymore. But you have to recognize it. You have to challenge it. And you got to put in the fucking work to change your conscious efforts to go from scarce to abundant. And now let's jump right into a couple subtle shifts that can change your fucking perspective today. All right, so there's going to be about 10 to 15 different subtle shifts, but these are so fucking easy. So from a scarce mindset, from an abundant mindset. If you're operating from a scarcity mindset, you are fearing that there's not enough for you to go around. you're going to be constantly worrying about your resources, your opportunities, your time, and your money. So if you have a scarce mindset, that's what you're thinking about every day. Now that's anxiety inducing, depression inducing, and just ultimately low frequency inducing. Now, however, if you're operating from an abundant mindset, you're looking at this as from a gratitude and a gratifying standpoint. There's an abundant mindset where you're focusing on what you have. You express gratitude for the opportunities that are coming and the resources that are possessed in front of you because you know there's an ample amount of time, money, resources, and opportunities. So you're grateful for what you currently have because you're aware it's going to continuously get better. Subtle shift, fear of not thinking there's enough to go around for you, and then being grateful for what you currently have because you know there's way more than you need. Easy perspective shift that you can work on every single day. Another perspective shift that's very simple versus scarcity mindset versus an abundant mindset, Scarcity is hoarding. You tend to hold on to things even if you don't need them because you fear you may not be able to replace them in the future. This was horrible for me. I grew up in a broken home. I grew up in an adoption care. I grew up from moving from house to house a little bit. So I would always hold on to my things. I was just scared that I wasn't going to replace them in the future. Actually, Emma makes fun of me now because I'll buy new clothes or I'll buy something for myself when I genuinely won't open it or enjoy it because I'm scared it's going to be gone in the future, and that bleeds into so many different avenues in my life, which is why I love talking about this stuff. But when you're operating from a scarce mindset, you get it. And you're like this coffee, you get it. You're like, I don't know if I'm going to get another one. So you're almost like self-sabotage yourself, enjoying the moment, what you have, because you're scarce mindset, you're hoarding it. You're hoarding all these different things. However, if you're operating from an abundant mindset, you're thinking of this from this standpoint, from generosity. You're willing to share your resources, your time, and your knowledge with others and believe that there's plenty of things to go around. If I have this coffee and I know I'm going to get more coffees and I know I'm not scarce with my resources or my time and my money, then I'm going to be generous to give it out because that's just the operating procedure that I'm on. And that's where you get into different frequencies and different things in life, like a law of attraction, because the more you give out, the more you get back, right? And if you're hoarding everything, what are you going to get back? You're not giving anything to receive anything. So another easy perspective shift from scarce mindset to an abundant mindset that you can focus on every single fucking day. Now, this perspective shift for scarcity mindset and abundant mindset literally changed the way I look at life because, I'm a male. Obviously, I like to identify as a male. And I mean, that might ruffle some feathers, but it is what it is. And the reason why I say it that way is because, me as speaking from a male's perspective and a scarcity mindset, I viewed every other guy as competition. You know what I mean? I looked at other people's successes and I thought that meant less for me. You know what I mean? I thought it just made me feel some types of way. You know what I mean? My ego, my pride got involved into it. I was envious of other people's success. And that's a scarce mindset, is viewing other people's as competition. You know what I mean? And an abundant mindset is looking at it as collaboration. You see the potential win-win in situations, collaborations, when you see other people's success. And you look at other people's success from the standpoint of, damn, if I could collaborate with that person, or if I could hang with this person or just get something from them, I could learn for myself to be that much better. That's a scarce mindset. It is no ego, no pride. You're looking at collaborations because you see the potential of a win-win situation because you know where you're at, you're winning, you're thriving, you got tons of time, tons of money, tons of abundance. Then you're like, damn, if this person has a lot of things that I want and they have a ton of time, a ton of abundance and ton of different resources that they're crushing at. Well, if I have no ego, no pride, and I'm looking at an abundant mindset, shit, I want to collaborate with this person. I want to work with this person. I want to have more of this person's energy without my pride, without my ego, without my envy, And if you're operating from a scarce mindset, you're just simply not going to be able to seize those opportunities to collaborate with certain people on certain frequencies because you're threatened by their success. You're envious of their success. You're operating from a scarce mindset, viewing these people as competition. All right, we got 6 more perspective shifts for you. And the reason why I'm going to go on so many about these perspective shifts is because I need you to understand these small decisions that you make on a daily basis, these micro decisions to change your life, move fucking mountains when you just shut the fuck up and relentlessly attack them. Prime example, getting up early and go to the gym. You literally do this for 3 to 4 months. By the fourth month, you're gonna be a different fucking person. We can talk about the quality of the workouts. We can talk about the quality of the nutrition. We can talk about everything, but I'm going to talk solely about you deciding to set this standard and be like, I'm going to get up at this time every single morning and I'm going to create my reality through this. And that's an abundant mindset. And the reason I'm saying this is because these small shifts that we as humans are so conditioned to just ignore move fucking mountains. That one small shift of you setting your alarm, getting up an hour early, after 4 months, that bleeds into your relationship standards, that bleeds into your personal standards, that bleeds into your self-development, that bleeds into every other area of your life. And it's just an abundant mindset because you're going to get more, receive more, and even take more from life because you're giving so much fucking back. And that's why I need you to understand the severity of these small mindset shifts is because it's like you shift one of your perspectives from one of these mindsets shifts that I'm talking about with scarcity and an abundant mindset. And you could get rid of tons of anxiety. You can get rid of tons of depression. You could literally benefit your life in so many different areas by one subtle shift. So if it is a little bit long-winded, I do apologize. But like I said, if you're taking notes and actually actively engaging in what we're talking about right now, you're going to have tons of takeaways for you to literally change your life today. And I haven't even got into my main 3 takeaways that will change your life today. So let's continue and keep it going. So a scarce mindset is you're hesitant to take risks. You're fearing the avenues of losses. You're avoiding taking risks because you're like, oh no, this could lead to personal or professional, failure, and you're just scared to take fucking risks. Now, if you're in an abundant mindset, you're going to embrace every fucking challenge that comes in front of you. You're going to look at it and you're going to take calculated risks. Because life is all about risks. You know what I mean? You get in your car, you go to school or go to work and you're driving, you're taking a fucking risk. How do you know you're not going to get into a motor vehicle accident that your life's being taken today? You go take the garbage out middle of the night. How do you know someone's not going to be out there and rob you, fucking kill you, or if there's a bear going to fucking eat you? I know these are extreme, but I need you to understand it's all about calculated risk. I'm not talking about, I wonder if I could swim across the ocean. Like, we're not talking about shit like this. We're talking about, okay, if you're at work and you get challenged and you have the education for that conversation, why don't you speak up? Say you're very smart or something comes to you fast and you have a lot of passion, say sports, let's say you're really good, but let's say you get a full ride scholarship for a university that's across the country and you're scared to take the risk because of what about this and that and this? Embrace that fucking challenge, embrace it and believe in your own ability and overcome this challenge and prove to yourself that you can do it. And that is a subtle shift. Are you fearing of the loss of any risks that are coming? Like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, it might not benefit me. Or are you looking at this challenge and like, what if this fucking works out? And this is actually a side tangent, but I literally have the tattoo on my hand called Let's Find Out to remind myself of this, It's as simple as, let's find out. Let me embrace this challenge. Can I get through this? And a lot of people lately have been asking me about like how I got my life into the position I got it in terms of just where I'm at. And I can't even explain because I don't know what they see, right? I only know what I know. And that's why I speak from my perspectives. But a lot of people have been putting me on this pedestal of like how I've created my life and I'm so positive and all these different things. And I truly don't really know what they see sometimes because I'm just doing my thing. And I always say it's all because I'm embracing challenges. I have that abundant mindset that I know on the other side of my insecurities, my fears of losses, my fear of avoiding taking this risk and all these different things. I know on the other side of that is the abundance of growth that I'm searching for and that you're searching for. And that's why I'm saying these subtle perspective shifts move fucking mountains. Now, the next one is a scarce mindset is you're neglecting self-care. You're so hyper fixated on everyone around you, the needs of everyone around you, that you feel guilty, like giving yourself this energy in of your own personal well-being because you're so hyper fixated on controlling everything from a low frequency energy standpoint. Let's say prime example, how many people have been in a relationship and they completely let go of their self-care when things start going south? Or how many people have been in relationships and it's like, oh, before my relationship, I was in the best shape of my life. Before my relationship, I never wasn't depressed. Before my relationship, this. And it's like you have a scarce mindset going into your relationship because you're neglecting your self-care, because you're prioritizing the need of other people over you because you're scarce, thinking they're not going to be around, thinking you don't deserve more. The list goes on of the mental, emotional states comes out of it. But scarce mindset is neglecting your self-care. And when you're not prioritizing your self-care, you're literally operating from a scarce mindset. And that's a huge depression symptom as well, neglecting self-care. However, if you're operating from an abundant mindset, you're going to be focusing on self-improvement. You're going to be operating on yourself. How can I prioritize my personal growth? How can I prioritize understanding my own self and investing time in myself and ultimately showing up as the best version of myself and for the people around me? Because then it's impossible for me to neglect my self-care. And that's why you got to understand this perspective shift. I might go on a little bit of a rant, but this perspective shift is crucial because prime example, scarce mindset, your fear of everyone, your fear of losing everything, or your fear that your life isn't going to like have as much abundance, quote unquote, much opportunity that you need. So you hold on to this shitty relationship you're in. This guy who loves you. So you're like, no, maybe it'll get better, or you're with this girl that isn't supporting you or whatever. And it's like, oh, maybe it'll get better. That's neglecting self-care. That's a scarce mindset, thinking you can sit there and hold on to people and hold on to this frame of this life that doesn't exist because you're so low frequency. I could go on about this forever, talking about like your family. I know a lot of you guys out here literally bend over backwards for your fucking families for what? They don't do fuck all for you. They just take. You're neglecting your self-care, prioritizing needs of your family because you're feeling guilty for indulging in your own personal self and your well-being, and your family's got you conditioned to believe that because they're taking. And now you're stuck in the scarce mindset, and your whole life, you're going to go about your day believing that this is how you need to operate and blaming everyone else. You know what I'm saying? So an abundant mindset is self-improvement. I'm going to focus on myself, be the best version of myself. And anyone around me that truly supports me will understand that and understand that it's from a loving, caring standpoint, and that you expect that for the other people. However, that subtle shift from scarcity to abundance makes a huge fucking difference. These last two, honestly, they're all fucking bangers to me. I love them. I think this is one of the best perspective shifts I've always talked about on a podcast, I guess, because I'm so diligent on like the simplicity of these differences, right? And I think it's so important to understand the simplicity of these differences, because that's why I highlight that they move mountains. You know, it's like you make this one perspective shift and like you're switching lanes into a new area of life. So it's only a matter of time as you stay on this path, you're gonna be reaping the benefits of this fucking success. So the last two we're going to talk about is comparison versus celebrating others. If you're comparing yourself to other people, then you're literally envious of what they have, and you're perceiving that everyone else has more. And if you like I don't know if you've heard of this quote, but the quote goes, "Comparison is a thief of joy," meaning that if you're frequently comparing yourself to others and you feel envious of what others have, you're literally deteriorating your mental health every single day. You're ripping yourself down, and you need to focus on the abundance of that mindset and celebrating others. There's enough fucking of every avenue of life to go around for everybody. Anyone can achieve anything they want. And you got to learn how to genuinely celebrate others and be inspired by others' hard work. Prime example is I plan on doing a bodybuilding show next year, and I talk about my work ethic and how hard I'm willing to work into it. And there's people that get offended at how confident I am in my work ethic. And I never said once that I was going to maliciously take anybody else's trophy, or I never said it was taken away from anybody, but from an abundant mindset, I'm celebrating others' successes that I see because I see their work ethic. So I see my work ethic and I'm like, shit, I want to celebrate with this person. I want to hang with this person. I'm not going to compare myself to this person because, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I don't know what you're doing. You don't know what I'm doing. Comparison is the thief of all joy, but it's an abundant mindset and that perspective to be able to celebrate others without feeling threatened and genuinely be inspired by what they're doing. All right. I got a few more. I lied. I did say I only had a few, like one or two more, but I actually found two more that I want to talk about, and three more technically, but we're going to jump into it. So negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is a scarcity mindset because it leads to you to talk to yourself in a form of self-criticism. You create self-doubt, and you really just question your abilities and your worth. And that's a scarce mindset. That's low frequency thinking. That's you not thinking you're good enough, and you're over there self-criticizing every avenue of what you're doing. You're being so critical of every thought, so critical of every option, so critical of every avenue of your life that you're taking, that all this does is it creates tons of fucking self-doubt. And all you're doing is beating the shit out of your self-worth, beating the shit and questioning the hell out of your capabilities. And ultimately what you're going to do is just create depression, to create anxiety. And the thing about this is if you do this long enough, you will change the dynamics of your mindset forever in such a negative standpoint that you'll probably start taking medication. You probably start to go into therapy for things that you don't need to go to therapy for. You start getting out of shape. You start gaining body fat. But an abundant mindset is positive self-talk, promoting your self-encouragement, self-compassion, self-love, a belief in your own capabilities, your worth, your self-value. And this is one of probably the biggest perspective shifts that is one of the hardest ones to do, because how do you go from talking shit about yourself all day to telling yourself you love yourself all day? It's very, very hard. And this is actually one of my biggest takeaways I want to talk about in a moment. But you just got to understand the subtle shifts of scarcity mindset versus abundance, because if you say anything negative towards yourself, scarcity mindset. Now, if you're over there hyping yourself up and you're looking at your capabilities, and you're looking at your opportunities that you have in your life, and you're looking at the abundance, self-compassion, self-love, positive self-talk, abundant mindset. The last two mindset perspective shifts that I want to talk about before I get into my actionable items that you can take away today is an abundant mindset is you're focusing on solutions. When you're faced with problems and you tend to look for solutions rather than dwelling on limitations, exactly as I said earlier, you're willing to embrace challenges, and you're looking at the glass as half full versus half empty, and you're going to get energetic and you're going to get inspired to focus on the solutions, because you now know, you focus on one solution, you get the solution, you grow, you do it again, you do the same thing, you grow. This compounds over time. You know what I mean? And you're just going to create this, it's going to, over time, callous that mindset of being more abundant to focus on the solutions. Another one too is adaptability. When you're having an abundant mindset, you're more up to adapt your schedule, adapt your life to change, and open to explore new possibilities without anxiety, without getting stuck on topics or ideas, roadblocks. You can adapt, you can pivot, and you can grow And one small thing that throws a wrench in your schedule isn't going to cause a 2 or 3 day, fuck up, and I'm bad and guilty for that, which is why I like to share these things. Like, I wasn't flexible or adaptable at all with my mindset. I would be so hyper fixated on such a low frequency scarcity mindset that when one small thing would not go my way, I would literally throw it the fucking entire week, sometimes even months, and this would spiral me out of control. And sometimes it would take me almost 3-4 months to get back to where I gotta be. Just because I was so hyper fixated on low frequency in a scarce mindset that I wasn't willing to adapt and change and pivot and grow because I was just like, fuck, this isn't gonna work. So why would I? You know? And lastly, my favorite abundant mindset perspective that literally changed my fucking life because I'm so full of anxiety when it comes to time is time abundance. Instead of saying I don't have time, people with an abundant mindset, they prioritize and manage their time effectively, focusing on what truly fucking matters. You ever hear that quote saying that people have time for what they focus on? And if they truly wanted to hang with you, they'd find time for you. It's fucking true. So you got to be operating from an abundant mindset to make sure that what you're focusing on and what you have time for and put your time to and consuming your time, it matters towards the end goal in the bigger picture versus, being caught up in a scarcity mindset and just entertaining things to hold you in a position that makes you feel like you're in control. All right. I know I went on a long rant about scarcity mindset and abundant mindset, but I wanted to go on as many rants as I could about it because I need you to understand the simplicity of these perspective shifts and you believing that they're going to work and you staying relentlessly committed to them to change are going to move mountains in your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your relationships. Everything is going to grow. So here are my 3 actionable items that you can take away today from this podcast episode to go from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset today. So number 1 is going to be practicing gratitude. And that sounds so simple, but you need to focus on what you have rather than what you lack to cultivate a sense of abundance. You got to just look at whatever it is in front of you and be grateful that you have it. I don't give a fuck what it is. Like, seriously, what it is. When I started this gratitude list, I literally had this is my rule. It's 3 things you smell, 3 things you hear, 3 things you feel, 3 things you see. And then I would go through that. Now, sometimes the smell one would be like, if in the morning, it'd be like you smell your coffee, you smell the breakfast, and you smell the fresh air. Literally, if you go to my Instagram, you're going to see where it all began. And it's going to be either me walking around my old corporate job building, or it's going to be me walking on the balcony. And it's because that's where I started practicing gratitude. In order to get gateway to an abundant mindset, you have to start to be appreciative for what you have to help cultivate the sense of abundance. And I literally cannot put it any simpler than that, but you got to understand the value of that. And you got to make this a daily habit by starting each day with a brief gratitude exercise to set the positive tone for your day. And this is where I encourage you, if you don't do this on a daily basis, I encourage you to reach out. I'll give you a fucking journal routine with everything in it that you need to for this stuff. But how can you expect to enjoy what you want to get in terms of your goals, whether it's a financial goal, whether it's a physical goal, whether it's whatever it is that you're aiming to go get? How the fuck do you plan on getting it if you don't appreciate what you have now? It's impossible. So practice fucking gratitude. Number 2 is turn negative thoughts around. Whenever you catch yourself thinking in a scarcity focused way, either through anxiety, through depression, through like trauma, through low frequency, and you're beating yourself up with self-doubts, insecurities, and fear, you have to consciously reframe it with an abundant perspective. And this is as simple as the example can go. And the rest of it is your willingness to commit to it. So example, I'll never have enough time to fucking get this goal done. Reframing it from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset is simply switching the verbiage to I have enough time to prioritize what is important. I'm going to say that one more time because that's how simple it fucking is to break the cycle. Scarcity mindset is I will never have enough time to accomplish this fucking goal. An abundant mindset is I have enough time to prioritize what is important. And you got to practice this every single fucking day on every single avenue of your thought pattern because you speak to yourself all day. You speak to people all day. So you are going to have to be consciously reframing these thoughts all fucking day. But I got to let you know, like the simplicity in this, do not let it go over your head. This is what will help you break the cycle of negative thinking, and it'll train your mind to see possibilities rather than limitations. There are a million examples that we could talk to, and such as like you're a failure. Like, you say you set out a goal and you didn't do good. I'm a failure. Translate that to an abundant mindset and say, I tried my best. I learned a lot. When you think society hates you, reframe your mind and understand you can't fucking read people's mind and assume what other people think. So reframe your mind saying, How can they hate me when I'm full of love and joy and I never give myself a chance of day or a time of day to even talk to these people? You know, I could rant about this one all day, but the main takeaway is coming up with something that helps you consciously become more aware of the internal dialogue to halt those shitty scarcity comments and reframe them with abundant comments that serves you. The main takeaway is coming up with something that helps you consciously become more aware of your internal dialogue to halt these shitty scarcity comments and that you're coming up with in your head and reframe them to an abundant mindset, abundant comments that not only just serve you, but aid you in terms of crushing your goals. And the last takeaway that you could take in today to literally change your perspective from being scarce to abundant is one of my personal favorite, and that's learn something fucking new. You got to challenge yourself to learn a new skill or explore a new topic today. And if you're not, you really got to question yourself. What are you doing in your life? Are you simply just existing? Because if so, this is where it gets pretty deep. If you're just simply existing in your life, you're doing yourself, not only just yourself a disservice, but you're doing your friends a disservice, your family a disservice, your fucking future potential a disservice. You're doing a disservice to the people that live in a fucking third world country that don't even have running water. Like, you're doing such a disservice to yourself by not learning something new and challenging yourself and embracing yourself. If you're on this planet just simply exist, I don't want to be too rude, but just like, fuck off. Fuck off. Be low frequency anywhere else. Because you got to understand, embracing, learning contributes to a growth-oriented mindset. And a growth-oriented mindset is a type of abundant mindset. And this is where you're going to believe that there's always more knowledge and expertise to gain. And if you pair this with even more of an abundant mindset, put your ego and pride aside and say, hey, I want to join a team, learn from other people that are doing what I want to do, how fucking fast can your life change? You know? And this is where you got to understand, this mindset shift can lead to increased confidence. It can open up a crazy amount of broader range of opportunities. If I didn't have this attribute in my mindset, I wouldn't have never flown to Kelowna, met PT Dom, got the opportunity to work with Team Lift if I didn't have this avenue of challenging myself to learn a new skill, aka build my business online, be a full online coach, trainer, whatever you want to call it. But this literally is my entire life right now. If I'm not learning something new and I'm not uncomfortable with my growth, then I know for a fact that I'm starting to lean into a scarcity and more of a comfortable mindset more than an abundant mindset. And when I know that that's happening, I pull all of the fucking brakes and I throw all of my gas that I have left in my tank on the fire of abundance to get myself uncomfortable, to get myself growing, and to get myself in the position to continuously learn something new. Because once I become stagnant and I start just existing through life, that's when anxiety comes through. That's when depression comes through. That's when my OCD acts up. That's when my trauma comes up. Ultimately, that's when I'm my absolute worst, is when I'm not learning something new, when I'm not embracing these challenges, and I'm not on the abundant mindset of my life and just on the front foot and being just excited to do my life. If I start to fall victim to the low frequency of the emotions, the scarcity mindsets, and being comfortable, that's when I know that I need to change something in my life. There you have it. Those are my 3 main takeaways to develop and cultivate an abundant mindset over a scarce mindset. And we discussed tons of subtle ways and differences of how you can go from a scarce mindset to an abundant mindset with just like verbiage and just perspective shifts. And we also talked about them by definition, so you can look at them from a factual standpoint to remove all of the emotion of them. So I'm going to stop my rant there. I appreciate the absolute fuck of you guys for joining in and tuning in on this episode. And as always, I hope you took a ton of value from this, and I appreciate your support. Have a blessed fucking week. See you guys on the next episode. Let's go.
Who's on my side, I don't know anymore. Cause it's more than a battle, we going to war. And losing again, I just cannot afford. I think it's my time to go even the score. What you see on the surface attached to my core. I'm stacking my paper, but feeling for more. One hell of a ride, but I'm staying on board. And now it makes sense what the suffering was for. Cause I got out my head and I got in my bag. No time to be crying.